We got to start having a real GOAT conversation when it comes to Andy Reid. We talk about it with Bill Belichick a lot. Catch and Shula, 6 Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowl appearances. Andy Reid is making a case and making a run that he, not Belichick, he, even in terms of overall win total, not Don Shula, could be the greatest coach in NFL history. Let's just look right now where Andy Reid is. He just won his 3rd Super Bowl in 5 years. Now tied with Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs for 3rd all time in terms of Super Bowl wins by a head coach. He's 1 behind Chuck Noll and right now 3 behind Bill Belichick. Tied for 3rd, 1 away from tying from 2nd, 3 away from tying for 1st. He is right there. And again, with how this Chiefs team is playing, there's no slowing down this Kansas City team. 6 is absolutely in the ballpark for Andy Reid of tying Bill Belichick without a doubt. And don't look now. So is Don Shula's record. We pay a lot of attention to Bill. And again, he's 15 wins away, so he is obviously closer than Andy Reid is. But look right now where Reid is. He's at, after this win tonight, he's at 284. 284 career wins for Andy Reid. He is just 63 behind Don Shula. I know I say just, like, oh yeah, you can get that next year. I know there's you got to win still at a very high level. But he is 63 wins away from tying Don Shula for the most wins in NFL history. I was doing the math. If he averages, because again, this also counts postseason wins, right, in the win total. This is overall regular and postseason win total. If he averages 14 wins per season for the next 5 years, he has the record. Does that not seem doable? Win 11, 12 games in the regular season, even just win a playoff game or two. You don't have to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl every year. You win 12 games, you win 2 playoff games, all of a sudden now, there's your 14 every single year. You win 13 games and go 13-4 in the regular season. You win 1 playoff game, there's your 14. 4.5 years for Reid, to tie Don Shula and surpass him. I know he's 66, but right now Bill Belichick is going on 72. He could get that, right around the time he turns 70. That's very doable. With how this Chiefs team is humming, where again, I thought this is the worst offense we saw from Kansas City in the Mahomes era. I think their offense is only going to get better. They won 11 games in the regular season, 4 more in the postseason. They won 15 games this year. That is absolutely attainable and doable for Andy Reid every single year. And like Marco and I were talking about before, about a half hour or so ago, I don't see Andy Reid retiring anytime soon. Like, there's this report, and I don't know where this report came from. Honestly, I would not be surprised if this report came from someone who is trying to kind of will this into existence more than actual factual reporting. Because look at what Andy Reid is doing right now. He's having the time of his life. Why would Andy Reid retire at this point in his career? Like, think about if you were Andy Reid for a second. Look at the path Reid has been on in his career, where he's always won regular season games, right? He's always had really good regular season teams year in and year out, whether it was with Philly or in Kansas City. His big bugaboo for like 15 years of his career was could have won the big game. Couldn't do it. Get to the playoffs and would choke. We'll get to the playoffs and underperform. He had bad clock management for a while. His play calling would be questionable. There was always a knock of Andy Reid, yeah, but. And for a long time, he was widely regarded as the best coach without a Super Bowl ring. That was his title for a long time, towards the tail end of Philly and definitely in his time in Kansas City. And now, after all that heartbreak, after all that coming up short, after all of those doubts kept being thrown his way year after year where his team would win 10, 11, 12 games in the regular season and fail to get or win the Super Bowl, now all of a sudden, he's making winning the Super Bowl a habit. Getting to the Super Bowl a habit. 4 Super Bowl appearances the last 5 years. He has been to the AFC title game with Mahomes every single year of his career. And he's won 3. Why would you walk away? When you experience that heartache, when you experience that doubt and those questions for such a large part of your career, why would you walk away when you're at your peak, but also that peak is going nowhere anytime soon? We talked about it right after the Super Bowl is over an hour ago. I think the Chiefs are going to become the greatest dynasty in NFL history because this team is young. Isaiah Pacheco, year number 2. Rashee Rice, rookie as a wide receiver, has already earned the trust of Patrick Mahomes. Offensive line, still young. Creed Humphrey, really and one of the best centers in the league already, and he is, was just drafted a few years ago. Defensively, Chris Jones is the big name, but there are so many guys on the defensive line and in that secondary that are young, that are cheap, that are still kind of working their way up. This team is going nowhere. Mahomes is 28. This team is only, despite winning 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, this team is only ascending still. They have not reached their peak. They're nowhere close to plateauing. And if you're Reid winning this year's Super Bowl specifically, where you had an average offense, you were 15th in the regular season in terms of points per game. In the postseason, you saw your offense with Patrick Mahomes get shut out in the second half of the AFC title game against Baltimore. You were going on the road for the first time with Mahomes, and this was supposed to be the postseason where the Bills get their revenge, where the Ravens and Lamar Jackson break through, where Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, they get their first Super Bowl. This was supposed to be everybody's year but Kansas City's. It didn't matter. You won the Super Bowl despite that. Why would you walk away now? Why would you walk away anytime soon? He is coaching for another 5 years. He is chasing and surpassing Shula. And he has a real shot here to pass Belichick. 7 Super Bowls for Andy Reid is absolutely not off the table. Not after what we just witnessed tonight, and not after what we witnessed this entire season. This team was vulnerable. They were beatable. Nobody did it. Offense was pedestrian. Receivers stunk. Offensive line was questionable. Road environment in Buffalo. Road environment in Baltimore. Better overall team in the 49ers. This was not supposed to be Kansas City's year. And it ended up being another Super Bowl for them. They are going nowhere. And I think Andy Reid himself isn't going anywhere anytime soon. He is going to be, I think, the GOAT. When it's all said and done, not Don Shula, not Bill Belichick. We will be talking about Andy Reid as the GOAT when it comes to coaches.